Everybody ready? I'm going to call this July 17th, 2023 Southern Shores Planning Board to order, please. You all will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see here. All right. Go down and approve tonight's agenda. Could I get a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the agenda for July 17th, 2023.
Could I get a second?
I second.
Jan? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, moving on to item 4, approval of minutes, March 20, 2023. Everybody have a chance to look those minutes over and offer any corrections? Anybody see anything?
No.
They look good to me.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes of March 20th, 2023.
Right, thank you, Tony.
I'll second.
Ed seconds. Any discussion there? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. Public comment. Anybody care to speak now that isn't signed up? Okay. We have no old business tonight, so we are going to go into item 7, new business. Under item 7 is VA 23-01, a variance application submitted by Lindsay Lupino to seek relief from Town Code Section 36-165-8, Table C. Permanent signage in the commercial district for the property located at 5500 North Croatan Highway, also known as the Marketplace. And this board is the planning board, but we are going to shift our hats around, and variance requests are heard by the Board of Adjustment, which we will now be in this variance hearing. So at this time, I am going to ask if you all will listen while I read comments at the beginning of this variance hearing. Pretty standard comments for anyone in attendance. This is not a legislative public hearing where the public is invited to give opinion and provide general comments or guidance to the board about zoning text amendments. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. Only aggrieved parties may participate. A member of the public may participate if aggrieved. An aggrieved person may give relevant testimony under oath, no opinions, just testimony based on facts. It is just like taking the stand in a courtroom. An aggrieved person is subject to cross-examination by any other party and by this board, just like court. To be aggrieved under the law, you must be directly and substantially affected by the board's decision. Guidance from past North Carolina cases and the North Carolina School of Government help us understand that to be aggrieved, you must be an immediate neighbor whose property use, enjoyment, and value will be adversely impacted by the board's decision. If you are an aggrieved person and want to participate in this quasi-judicial hearing by giving sworn factual testimony or wish to cross-examine any witness during this proceeding, come forward to the podium now to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you shall give to this board in this action shall be the truth,
Okay, thank you, Sheila. You all have before you, and I would say I can see it on everybody's page, but we have an order of hearing for a variance application as heard by the Board of Adjustment. Item number 1 is recusal, party challenges to board members in the evidentiary hearing. I'm going to read the following questions. Has any board member communicated with other board members, the applicant, or the town staff about this appointment, about this application? Does any board member have a fixed opinion that is not susceptible to change? Does any board member have a close familial, business, or associational relationship with the applicant? Does any board member have a financial interest in the outcome of this matter? Jan, I'm going to start with you. Do you have, I'm going to ask it if you have any.
Yes is no. I have all no's.
Okay. Tony?
I have all no's.
Ed?
All no's.
Ron? All no's. And I have all no's as well. Okay. Well, in that case, we are going to begin the hearing. And this is the evidentiary part of the hearing. And at this time, I will call on the applicant, who is the representative from SEMA Sign Company, to please approach the podium.
Mr. Haskett, is there a clicker? Oh, this is.
Yeah. Excuse me, can I get you to state your name?
Yes, my name is Bill Lockett, Lockett, and I'm with SEMA Network out of Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for the opportunity to present this Five Below variance application. Speaking to the executive team at Five Below, they're really excited about coming into the shopping center and joining the community. I have a presentation to just review with you all to speak to the relief request for the variance with some documentation. As noted in the preliminary discussion, we are here representing the Five Below at 5500 North Croatan Highway, zone general commercial, also known as the Marketplace at Southern Shores. The Five Below is located in the middle of the shopping center, setback off of the highway with an approximate setback of 470 feet from the road. Five Below is building approximately 9,600 square feet of retail space. They are kind of like an anchor tenant compared to some of the other tenants in the shopping center. Code currently allows for 1 square foot for every linear foot, and we are here requesting a variance to be granted 156 total square feet. The requested relief is 98 square feet. Just as kind of a point of reference, we are counting the entire blue architectural background. That's a standard architectural element. Five Below uses that architecturally to try to unify a lot of the different architecture that they get into in different shopping centers throughout the country. I have some photo examples that I can show the board. And again, just as a point of reference, we are boxing that entire blue area in order to get to the square footage of the relief that we're requesting. But I just want to reference that the actual letters, if it's just the text for Five Below, you're looking at about 122 total square feet. And if you were to draw rectangles around each individual wording, it would be down to 102, just to kind of give reference as to how greatly just the interpretation impacts the overall ask. Here's a couple of examples of ones that are in similar area as they show the blue architectural background as well as the letter copy. The Hot Stuff Cool Prices is relatively new to the brand. Post-COVID, with a lot of the supply chain challenges and inflation, some of the products start to creep above the Five Below, so they needed to incorporate a tagline to make sure that the community understands some of those product changes. This is an example of the storefront. So Five Below is extending the parapet, building out the facade rather large. I think this is an important depiction here. It shows the current condition on the top of this document, and on the bottom it shows the request that we're asking for superimposed. Kind of important to compare to the Food Lion or the Marshalls. It looks like it's very close in terms of size and area that it occupies within the shopping center. One thing that's really important to note is just the safety. Most of Five Below's locations are in shopping centers. A National Safety Council did a report. 1 in 5 accidents happen in parking lots, and they found that there's kind of a false sense of security when people are going into a shopping center, looking up and trying to identify which lanes to go into. Unlike a mall that has wayfinding that directs you to the store, once you're in a shopping center, you just got to look up, make identification to the brand, and navigate safely to where it is you're going. Second to that is just the economic viability for Five Below, really for any brick and mortar. Signs play just a really critical role in that business success. With competing against Amazon and all of the online retailers, it's really important that they get the size and brand visibility that they're looking for. Just a couple of notes that 76% of consumers, 8 in 10, said that they had entered a store or business they had never visited before simply on its signs. About 67% of consumers surveyed say they had purchased a product or service because a sign caught their eye. So it really plays a really pivotal role in the success of Five Below's business. I wanted to show just a couple of examples within the shopping center. I know it doesn't really set a precedence, and each one of these is on its own, but I just wanted to point this out just to show that what we're looking for isn't excessive in terms of what the existing shopping center has. So here's a coastal rehabilitation with 18-inch individual letters, overall size 46-inch by 189, roughly 60.3 square feet in a very small inline portion. We have Marshalls, which is a couple of stores down from the Five Below. They have 72-inch letters by about 366 inches, so approximately 183 square feet. And the rack room, that sign size is about 132 by 132, so roughly speaking about 121 square feet. And when you look at Five Below and you look at the amount of space with the architecture and that it's occupying, it sits in between that Marshalls and the rack room, and so does the square footage that we're asking for relief for. So in closing, I hope that we've demonstrated the application does not produce an undesirable change or detriment to the shopping center and is in the spirit of some of the changes in the code. We hope that it's an upgrade to the character of the existing shopping center. We hope that we've demonstrated that the benefits sought can't be achieved. This is kind of the minimum requirement. So it is a 3'6" letter. Typically, as a rule of thumb, with proper contrast, you're looking for about 1 foot of height for every 100 feet of viewing distance. So at 3'6", we're a little bit less than that, but it's wanting to not go any larger just for the spirit of the code. Typically, Five Below in the examples that I showed is trying to go for a 4 or 4'6" letter. So this is quite smaller than what they're accustomed to asking communities for. And we hope that the application here does not have an adverse effect on the neighborhood or the district. It's a heavily commercialized area, and again, the signs are kind of within the existing anchor tenant's size and proportion to the building. And that's all I have if the board has any questions.
Thank you. Okay. You want to stay up there and we'll ask questions as deemed appropriate. Start off with any board members have questions about the application and what they're trying to do here.
Do you have a rendition of what a conforming sign would look like?
No, sir. I can say that it would be close to the, sorry, wrong way here. It would be close to this, an 18-inch letter, which would be very, very small on that facade. But I apologize, I do not have an example. That would have been a good idea.
Do you know the lineal feet of coastal rehabilitation?
189 inches.
No, the
Oh, the lease space. I'm
The-
sorry, I do not. I don't
the
think.
frontage.
Yeah, I don't think it's much more than maybe 10 feet beyond the 189 inches.
We can go back to the rendering that showed your proposal along the,
Yes, sir.
then that, yes, this one. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can we blow that up a little bit?
I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have
Can you
the,
increase the size?
I might, hang on.
Mr. Haskett has the controls over there.
I'll go down.
The other thing I'd like to point out is that Five Below does not have a blue letter within their standards. And so that blue that is a typical architectural feature that they do is also used to allow the white letters to show on the light colored facades.
But it would still, as it is shown there with the blue background, our ordinance says you take the entire unit.
Yes, sir. And that's what we're asking for, relief for that entire square footage.
The sign Five Below in actuality is large as the Marshall sign, which is a lot more space, and as large as the Food Line sign. Am I correct? And I'm just doing this by
So,
visual. Do you have
Yeah.
any numbers on that?
so I think, yeah, the Marshalls is a 7-foot character, 7-foot letter. Our F is 3'6". What's driving that is, again, the blue area. But the letter itself, which is what the consumers are going to read, is half of Marshall's. And that's what I was trying to point out, in that what we're requesting in terms of letter height, and along with the size that they're leasing, is in between the Rack Room and the Marshalls comparatively.
You also are requesting other signs, which we haven't addressed. It seems like they weren't addressed.
Well, I think they're code compliant, so we're only here addressing,
The one is not, the canopy sign is not in compliance. Am I right on that, Wes, or am I mistaken?
Well,
Oh,
we're gonna,
yeah, we'll get to that. I believe the canopy sign is also not in compliance. I think you have a 5 square foot canopy sign. And I think the size of the building is 4 foot would be the number.
we can reduce that to 4 foot. I apologize, I wasn't
No,
prepared
that's-
to discuss the canopy
Yeah.
sign. The canopy sign is a typical Five Below design
Yeah.
used to guide pedestrians once they're inside the shopping center.
And the other signs that you are requesting, are they temporary signs?
Yes, they're temporary for employment and grand opening, and we would permit them under the jurisdiction.
And what is the usual time frame of the other signs that you want to put? I have 3 here. I don't know how many you're looking to put up. I have 3 other signs that you're looking to put up. What is the time frame of them, and are they all 3 that you wish to?
The
Yes.
typical timeframe is from 30 to 60 days, but they'll usually, well, not usually, they will comply with whatever the code is for the local municipality.
And is all 3 signs going to be utilized, or
Yes,
all 3?
yeah.
But you're not asking for a variance for any of those 3 signs or the banner signs at
No,
this time?
no, sir, we are not.
Jan, have you got any?
In perspective, I guess it's the hot stuff, cool prices. In other words, if there was some type of give on both sides, I would allow like the Five Below, and then the grand opening, I assume that's the one he's talking about, the banner that would come down in 30 to 60 days.
Correct.
But to me, it just takes away from, and that's my personal feeling, the look of the shopping center with advertisement. I think the sign of Five Below, I don't have a problem with that being the size that he would like, because I think it balances Marshalls and Food Lion. But I would like to see the hot stuff, cool prices removed. That's my thoughts.
Can you take that up and let us look at the original as it is today? So the Dollar Tree sign, you can see where that is. And this isn't part of your deal because you're not representing Ashton Properties in the building side of things, but that large rectangular section to the our right would come over to the left by about a third more, it looks like.
That's correct. So they're going to rebuild that whole facade and create,
Move the front door, it looks like.
yes, sir.
Mhm. So what there will be a larger rectangle. And once again, you don't know the answer to this, but the facade would remain the same. The roof line, the standing seam roof would remain the same look, I'm assuming. Doesn't have anything to do with this variance, but
Can we scroll down? That should be depicted in the rendering below.
Yeah, see the.
So that's, the standing
They're gonna-
seam to the left, a portion will stay, and it looks like that will be painted blue.
okay. So there won't be a roof line over what is now the Dollar Tree.
That's correct.
It's all going to be flat with the blue.
It'll be one flat plane, which is pretty typical. They usually build up to usually a large parapet, big entrance facade in order to create kind of that sub-anchor feel for close to, 9,500 to 10,000 square foot of retail space. Rather large. It's usually equal to 3 or 4 typical inline tenants within a shopping center.
So the drawing, Bill, that you gave us on page 7 is pretty significant of what it would look like.
Page 7, let's see.
See that bottom? Page 7.
Yes, that's correct.
That picture there shows a roof over top of it.
To the left.
That's not a blue stripe there. That's a roof over top of that bump out,
Yeah,
That's the standing seam.
standing seam, yeah.
to the left.
Not shown in blue.
Yeah, it looks like they didn't show that in blue.
On page 3 of what you have presented us, on page 3, it shows that, well, I can't tell, it still looks like a roof to me on page 3, but
Okay,
definitely on page 7, that's the standing seam roof.
I think there is a portion of the standing seam that will still be in place to the left of the new facade.
Yes.
Yeah,
Page 3 of what you have in your packet.
In the plans.
so I guess the discrepancy is that in one it shows blue, the other it shows more of a Doronotic bronze. Is that the question? Or-
What's it gonna be?
I'm sorry, I'm not here for the actual,
I mean, the blue ties in with the sign color.
Yeah.
So
the blue is typical, so typically they introduce either an awning or a canopy structure or paint the roof blue, which is typical for Five Below. So I assume they would be looking to paint it blue. And
rather than have a standing seam
that's correct.
roof over.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I think they would be painting that
Blue
portion,
stripe.
painting the entire metal blue or using a Kynar finish metal blue would be my assumption.
I got you. Rather than try to match up what's on the other side where it goes into food line.
That's correct.
Why don't you have that flat panel all the way across the standing seam? Would that give you more proportion for your letters? and your sign?
We're still kind of governed by the linear foot of the leased space. So if they went larger than that all the way down, we'd look even smaller and more disproportionate, even with what we're asking for today.
But that's all your space, right?
Yes, correct.
58. Or 58.
Yeah, it's close to
feet, 2 inches.
60 linear, close to 60 linear feet, 58 or so. It's 58.6 maybe.
And that sign will be internally illuminated.
Yes, sir.
Proposal.
It'll be internally illuminated with white LEDs. They're 6,500 Kelvin, so a little bit understated. The faces will be white acrylic. So the only thing that will illuminate at night is just the characters. The blue is just drive it. It's a color drive it, typically with a border, an architectural border around it.
On page 4 of what we were given, the channel letters with the tagline, you have at 124.4 square feet. So that's not taking into consideration the blue background, correct?
That's absolutely correct. That's what I pointed out earlier. This is our standard sign section detail that draws a rectangle around from the top of the F to the bottom of the H, including the blank space, draws a rectangle around those. And that's what I was just trying to say with the board in terms of interpretation. If you were to use it this way, it would be 122. If you count the blue, we're as requested today for our relief. And if you were only to draw a rectangle around Five Below and then hot stuff, cool prices, we're down just north of 100. So the interpretation really, really matters, but it really doesn't matter because in this case, we have to count the blue, so.
Have you made smaller signs than that for Five Below?
Yes, sir.
And you've made bigger signs than that for Five Below?
Yes, I can't recall the last time we've made smaller signs in this situation, but they do go into Simon properties like the premium outlet malls where they're in a much tighter, smaller format, and we have done signs. Just I'm on record here. I want to make sure, but in terms of a 10,000 square foot, typically 3'6" is the minimum request of Five Below.
But you have made them smaller,
Yes, sir.
and you have that capability.
We do, sir. Yeah, just to point that out, that for a channel letter, they can be physically made as small as 6 inches in height, which would not be real visible, but just for the record. So,
Um,
Wes, will you go to page, will you go to page 5? Let me ask a quick question.
Which page?
5.
Page 5.
What page?
That's my sign.
Five.
That's
Following up on Jan's question, does Five Below, will they use just this for their primary sign on a building? The Five Below without the
Hot stuff.
little tag line thing?
yeah, they have in the past, but that's what I was pointing out in testimony is that post-COVID, there's a number of products that have kind of exceeded the $5 price point, right? And the tagline has been a really important initiative with their trademark and logo to get into the new signage so that they could continue to message to consumers that they're doing products more or less beyond the $5 price point. So it's really important, but to answer your question directly, yes, they have done them without. And in fact, the examples that I showed in the presentation from the older stores do
Right.
not have the
They
tagline.
didn't have it.
That's
exactly.
correct.
That's why I
Mhm.
thought, oh, it looks.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what the sign would look like in perspective, that, where you've shown Marshalls and all. If you followed our code with the Five Below and with the tagline and without the tagline, obviously, the sign would be more visible. And honestly, I'm sympathetic to the safety issue, the visibility
Yeah.
issue. You'd be the first one, though, that would be, raising that level. And I'm not sure that the town's really ready to do that. In my opinion, it's too large for the current size of the Food Lion and the CVS. Maybe if they were all a little bit larger, the scale would look more appropriate. But as you presented it, I think it looks a bit out of scale for the size of the store.
And so I was hoping to show between the rack room size and the Marshalls that what we're asking for, counting the blue, is right in between them, those two tenants. And I don't know if that was granted under a variance or under past code, but it's certainly in line with what's existing.
From a visibility standpoint, I understand
Mhm.
your perspective.
Yeah,
It
and
seems that way.
yeah, and the letter height is really critical. I mean, really a best practice for safety is 12 inches of copy height for every 100 linear foot of viewing distance. So,
Wes, can you take us back to page 1? Right. Okay. Just, has your company ever done a Five Below sign that shows blue letters and a light background? Never.
no,
Okay. Have you done all of Five Below signs?
we have not.
Because I was just looking through, I Googled Five Below signage,
Yeah,
and, there's a ton of stuff there. And I did see, I believe, a couple of blue letters with a white background.
I wonder if they're non-illuminated situations, maybe?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I thought that was interesting. I know that it would be more difficult to eliminate something that's dark.
Yeah, blue is particularly tricky. It blurs with the eyes.
Right.
And I know Marshalls uses a blue, but the trick is always the PMS color of the blue for a particular retailer, getting it to match both day and night and then to be readable from a distance. And Five Below has not endeavored to do that and build that into the standards.
Anybody else have anything for the applicant? Good. Well,
And if
would
I,
you like to redirect one more time, then I'm going to ask Mr. Haskett to come up.
sure, I would just say if the board, I know it was pointed out about the tagline, but since we are looking for the overall blue, in order to be a little more proportionate, would the board consider if we drop the tagline, maybe going with a slightly larger 4-foot letter without that, and then it would be a little more proportionate, plus considering the 12 inches for every 100 foot of viewing distance, it may be a little bit more beneficial. So cleaner and a little bit more proportionate, just throwing that out there as if the board would be willing to do that. I know you're not favorable on the tagline, but it is important to the brand.
Right. Understood. Anybody else? Thank you for now, but don't
Thank
go
you.
anywhere.
Thank you.
Okay.
Should I sit or stand?
No, you can sit.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to ask everybody to look at your order of hearing. We have, the applicant's been up, the board has asked questions. At this time, do you have any questions to ask of the applicant?
No, sir, not at this time, but just want to note that I will enter this presentation that you all just saw into the record as evidence
Okay,
in the file.
all right, thank you. Okay, so, moving down the list in the evidentiary hearing, I'm going to call on Wes Haskett now to present the town's evidence, and you can stay back behind there. You don't need to go up to the podium.
Yes, sir. I'm going to read the staff report into the record in the event that not everyone present has been able to hear it or see it. As pointed out earlier, the applicant is Lindsay Lupino with SEMA Network Incorporated. The property owner is Southern Shores Owner LLC. The requested action is a variance from Town Code Section 36-165, 8, Table C. Location 5500 North Croatan Highway, zoning C General Commercial. Its existing land use, according to the town's currently adopted land use plan, is also commercial. With respect to the surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is residential, RS1, single-family residential. To the south is Highway 158, Town of Kitty Hawk. And to the east and west are commercial C General Commercial District. Physical characteristics of the property, obviously, is that it is developed. And again, applicable regulations from zoning ordinance are the 36-165A Table C and 36-165-2B. In our analysis, we found that the applicant is requesting a variance to seek relief from Town Code Section 36-165A Table C to allow a wall sign that exceeds the town's current requirements. Table C establishes the requirements for permanent signage in the commercial district. The applicant is proposing signage for a new Five Below retail store to be located at the Marketplace Shopping Center, which was permitted as a group development that consists of a wall sign, canopy sign, sign face on the existing Marketplace freestanding sign, and temporary signs with the following square footages. A wall sign, which is the subject, the purpose, the reason why the applicant is requesting this variance. They're requesting it at 156 square feet, which is not in compliance with the town's current requirements. They're also requesting a canopy sign, 5 square feet, also not in compliance. But I do want to clarify again, though, what they're showing in the plans, the drawings that were submitted, the only thing they're asking for right now is a variance for the wall sign. So anything else that's not in compliance, that's something that would have to be addressed prior to permit issuance for a sign permit. In the event of temporary signs don't require a permit. However, if they were determined to be in excess of what's allowed for temporary signs, they would be treated as zoning violations. Sign face on freestanding sign, 5.5 square feet. Also not, that is in compliance. Temporary freestanding construction sign, 32 square feet. Temporary freestanding coming soon, now hiring sign, 32 square feet. Temporary freestanding, now open, now hiring sign, 32 square feet. Temporary coming soon banner, 45 square feet, also not in compliance. Temporary grand opening banner, 80 square feet, also not in compliance. Temporary, now open, now hiring banner, 80 square feet, also not in compliance. Town Code Section 165, Table C allows a maximum of 1 square foot of wall sign area per linear foot of store frontage for each store in group developments. According to the submitted drawings, the store frontage for the Five Below space is 58.2 feet, which means that the maximum allowable sign size for the proposed wall sign is 58.2 square feet. And the applicant is requesting 156 square feet. Town Code Section 36-165-2B states that the surface area of a sign shall be computed as including the entire area within a regular geometric form or combination of regular geometric forms, comprising all of the display area of the sign and including frames and all of the elements of the matter displayed. Town Code Section 36-367 of the Town Zoning Ordinance establishes that the planning board, when performing the duties of the Town Board of Adjustment, shall vary any of the provisions of the zoning ordinance upon a showing of all of the following. 1, that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Town staff's comment is that strict application of Town Code Section 36-165, Table C would still allow a 58.2 square foot wall sign. Criteria number 2 for granting a variance. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Town staff's comment is that there are other businesses currently in the marketplace that have wall signs that are less than 58.2 square feet. Examples include Farm Bureau, which is a corner on the east side, 32.5 square feet. Farm Bureau on the south side, 27.2 square feet. Shunzing, less than 27.2 square feet. Spectrum, 24 square feet. Verizon, 22 square feet. Jersey Mike's, 19.6 square feet. Criteria number 3, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Staff's comment is that the 1 square foot of wall sign area per linear foot of store frontage requirement has been in effect since 2001. And the last criteria for granting a variance, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Staff's comment on that criteria is that the town adopted the current signage standards and regulations to ensure that permitted signs reflect the aesthetics desired by its residents, promote traffic safety, and provide minimum interference with individual property rights. That concludes my staff report, Mr. Chairman. If y'all have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Wes. Okay, questions for Wes? The table C that we all have copy of is from 36-165-8, Table C. Can you pull that up, Wes? Thank you. Town council adopted this language, sign language, and in particular, Table C, on October 4th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you all look at that table, wall sign is the first item up top. You got a maximum number of signs. You got a cumulative sign area per lot. This is all in the commercial district. Maximum surface area for a single sign. Maximum height, feet above, and additional requirements. So in the wall sign, says 1 per business, 2 for corner stores such as Farm Bureau or in-stores and group developments. The cumulative size area in square footage is for group developments, 1 per every linear foot of store frontage for each store. For all other uses, 1 per every 2 linear foot of frontage with a maximum of 64 square feet. Has that changed since October of 2022?
No, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else on what you see in Table C? In those pictures of Marshalls and Rack Room, did they comply with what's in Table C?
They did, yes, sir. Rack Room is a corner store, so they also were entitled to a different amount of square footage.
Mhm.
Marshall's obviously has a lot more linear frontage than does this space Five Below. So they were issued sign permits for their proposed signage.
Are you aware of any sign that's too big for the store?
I'm not aware. When I saw the coastal rehab sign and the square footage you provided, I'm not sure. I don't really have a response to that. If it does exceed what's allowed, then that's certainly something we can look into.
Was that an existing sign on before they moved?
I
and
think they took their,
replaced it.
I think they used an existing sign and just moved it when they relocated.
I seem to think that might have been the case, but
And I don't
know.
I don't recall the linear frontage of the new space either, because I want to say it's bigger than the one they were in, but I don't recall.
Mhm. And it's on the facade in front of the roof line, isn't it? We just looked at it, but.
Yeah, I think it's on it's on the main facade.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just like the Dollar Tree was
Yes, sir.
on that building.
Yes, sir. I believe that's correct.
How many lighted signs would you say are out there?
In the marketplace, the majority of them are internally illuminated, I would say, but I don't have an
Front light
exact,
or?
I don't have an exact number.
But
Internally illuminated.
internal,
Is
yeah.
what I would say the majority of them are.
And you don't see anything wrong with the specs for illuminating the proposed sign?
The issue with the proposed sign is the size of the sign, the proposed sign.
But you don't see any problems with the illumination specs that they would give, if we were to approve that sign?
No, sir, not at this time.
No problem with illumination.
Not at this time, no, sir.
So as far as I can tell, what they are asking for in a variance is the wall sign, not the canopy sign.
They're only doing the wall.
They're only asking for a variance for the wall sign.
Right. So the canopy sign, as you said, should be 4 square feet rather than 5 by ordinance. And then the sign face on a freestanding sign, which is out at the street, isn't it?
Yes, and now all of the different businesses have a face on that sign.
But that's not in the variance at this time either.
No, sir.
And then the temporary freestanding construction sign is 32 square feet. That looks like that's in compliance, but it's not being asked, it's not in the variance. And the temporary freestanding coming soon now hiring sign of 32 square feet is not in the variance request.
No, sir.
And the temporary freestanding now open, now hiring sign at 32 square feet, that's not in the variance either, is it?
No, sir.
And then the temporary coming soon banner is 45 square feet, which wouldn't be in compliance, but that's not in the variance at this time either.
It is not in the variance at this time, no, sir.
And the temporary grand opening banner of 80 square feet, which is not in compliance, according to table E, is also not in the variance, correct?
Correct.
And lastly, the temporary now open, now hiring banner of 80 square feet also is not in compliance according to banner language in table E is not in the variance at this time. It
Correct.
is just the wall sign.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Anybody got any questions for Wes?
No.
Rob?
I have a question about the sign that's on the wall next to the door.
What page are you on, Rob?
Page 2, or
Yeah, the little sign down at the sidewalk.
right. Does that have any bearing on their total amount of square footage allowed? Is that considered a part of their wall sign?
I would not consider that a wall sign, no, sir.
Okay.
Is it a window sign? I can't really.
I can't tell what it's on either.
But we allow signage on over the glass kind of thing.
Yeah.
For windows. That's
And like a
what-
sandwich board,
Right, okay.
it's in and out every night.
Right, okay, never mind. That's answers my question. Thank you.
Any other questions for Wes? Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you, Wes. Now, in the order of the evidentiary hearing, the applicant may cross-examine the town in his stance, but you're going to be asking Wes questions and we're going to be listening.
Okay, great, thank you. Wes, probably, so for Rack Room, that's a corner unit in the shopping center. So they were entitled to signs on the adjacent side, and they were able to double up in order to put it on the front. I just wanted to clarify for the record.
That's correct. Since it's a corner store, they are allotted a higher square footage. They're allowed the linear footage based on both sides.
Okay, so it's not intended to be able to put the sign on the other one and still be within the linear footage of that? They were able to combine the two for the front? Is,
Yes, sir. in this
okay,
case. Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. And then our rough area from today's visit for Marshall's was, I think, 183 square feet. So they have at, or more than, I guess, 183 linear feet or so?
Based on, I would have to refer to the sign permit application, but when I
Okay.
checked it, the sign permit application and the sign permit that was issued, it did not exceed the linear footage that was shown on the approved plan.
Okay, okay. And I guess the only other thought or statement that I had was I know there were a lot of locations that were sort of read off that were, 20 to 32 square feet. I just want to point out they're significantly less square footage, and they're in line in the shopping center, not necessarily viewable from the road. Is that a fair statement?
I was going to touch on that when I presented evidence, but I did not. But I would state that Farm Bureau and Shunzing, which are smaller,
Mhm.
are less visible,
Okay.
and they're smaller.
Okay. I guess that's really all I have is just whatever the board would be willing to do to help us out with the requested relief would be greatly appreciated. It's really critical to the viability of the business. This is a formula that has worked for Five Below. They are one of the only fast-growing brick and mortar retailers. So the signage truly plays a major role in the success of them as a business. And I just would really appreciate the board's consideration for that. And of course, the safety aspect and the impulse purchases. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've gone through the evidentiary part of the hearing. I'm assuming there's still no aggrieved parties out among us here. So at this point, we're going to look at the order of hearing for variance application that Wes has sent us. And we will go over 1 through 4 and discuss and vote. And a 4/5 majority vote on each of the following criteria is required to grant the variance, and we are going to vote on each of the 4 criteria, but it is a 4/5 majority. And if any of those 4 criteria do not get the 4/5 majority, the variance fails. Any questions on how that works before we get going? Okay. Number 1 says, does a strict application of the ordinance result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant? Voting yes for number 1 is for granting the variance. Discussion on that. Tony?
In looking at it, I don't understand how it would cause an unnecessary hardship. In other words, it says, can the property be used without the variance? It's basically, take it down in a nutshell, and the property can be used without the variance. It's just that the sign would be smaller. That's the way I read it. It doesn't take away the use of the property.
Jan?
No, I agree with that too. I do not see, so I would say no.
Okay. Ed, what do you, got any opinion on that?
Yea or nay, or just?
No, we're going to vote when we run down discussing it.
I don't have anything.
Robert, any
I don't
discussion?
see how it's an unnecessary hardship.
Okay. Well, we're gonna vote by raising our hands, and I'm gonna tally the vote. Wes and Sheila will too. But I'm gonna read it one more time. Does a strict application of the ordinance result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant? Voting yes is for granting the variance. I'm gonna take a vote. All saying yes, raise their hands. None seen. All saying no, raise their hands. 4-0 on that. Sorry, 5. I raised my hand. Okay. The next criteria, number 2, does the hardship result from conditions that are peculiar to the property? Once again, voting yes is for granting the variance. Tony?
Well, in looking at it, the hardship resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood and general public, the other items there are common to the general public, the other businesses. So nothing, I don't see anything peculiar to the property that would cause that, so I'd have to vote no. Well, I'll hold up on my vote. That's my opinion. I'm sorry.
Would you concur with what is basically in the staff report, that there are other businesses currently operating
That's what I said, yeah, there's other businesses operating with, in the area with smaller signs. I don't have the exact square footage of the other buildings, but these properties are working with smaller signs, and they're busy. Spectrum's busy, Verizon's busy, Jersey Mike's busy. So I don't think it has any effect.
Okay, anybody want to add?
I do. I think that there is a hardship for all of the businesses for that property because it sits as far away as it does from the street. I don't think his is unique for that business, but I think all of those businesses are in the same boat, that they are that difference. And it's a bit of a hardship for them to be seen from the street.
Are you saying all the businesses in the marketplace, with the exception of Marshalls and Rack Room that are bigger and newer?
Yeah, the smaller ones.
I mean, the ones on the side where Coastal Rehab, you can't see them from the road, period.
It's true.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, so that whole wing, those
Yeah.
businesses,
Yeah,
Depend on.
they have no
highway
road traffic.
visibility.
that's correct.
Okay, I'm going to read it one more time, then we're going to vote. Does the hardship result from conditions that are peculiar to the property? Voting yes is for granting the variance. All yes votes, please raise your hand.
One.
One. All no votes, please raise your hand. I'm a no, so 4 noes. Moving on to number 3. Does the hardship result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner? Oh, I'm sorry. Does the hardship result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner? Voting yes is for denial of the variance on item 3 as well. Discussion. Tony?
Did the hardship result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner? Yes, in the aspect that they want a sign that's larger. They're creating it by asking for a sign larger. Now, did the hardship, was it there when they started? We've had this ordinance for a while. So since it predates the application, so, so what they're doing is asking for something, it's an action that they're asking for after the ordinance. So is it a result? Is the hardship a result? Kind of. That's a gray area on that one.
Okay. Jan, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. The only drawback is what we've already have in writing and what everybody else has, looked at, and they have, done the appropriate signage. So do I see this as a hardship? No, I don't.
Ed?
Good.
Robert?
I have nothing to add.
Yeah, I would say that this board, all 5 of us sat up here and hammered out the sign ordinance for a number of meetings. And we did the best we could. Town council adopted what we put forth in October of 2022, which explicitly says 1 square foot of sign for 1 lineal foot of storefront. Okay. Item 3, does the hardship result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner? Does it result? Voting yes is for denial of the variance. All yes votes, please raise your hand.
Yes.
Ed, you voting yes? Jan, yes? Okay, so two yes. No votes, please raise your hand. I'm gonna vote yes.
Okay.
Let's retake that vote. And I'm gonna read it one more time. Does the hardship result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner? Voting yes is for denial. One more time. All those voting yes, raise your hand. I'm voting yes. Jan, that would be 3. All those voting no would be 2. Moving on to item 4, is the requested variance consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance? Voting yes is for granting the variance. Tony?
Yeah, it's really not consistent. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit and the purpose and the intent of the ordinance is to maintain a certain aesthetic look, I think, and also to limit the signage. And that was the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, and I don't think it's consistent with that.
Jan?
I agree with it, Tony. Yeah.
I agree with Tony. Okay, I do as well. Okay, I'm going to read the question one more time. Is the requested variance consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance? Voting yes is for granting the variance. All yes votes, please raise your hand. None seen. All no votes, please raise your hand. 5-0. Okay, board members. You were to make one of the following decisions. Approve the variance with conditions, or deny the variance. I think we've stated our reasons for our vote. So at this point, we can do one of 3 things, which approving the variance, we would be stepping out of the box because there's a lot of no votes in the 4 questions, the 4 criteria. So, and we had to have a 4/5 majority vote on each of the following criteria, which we did not achieve. So I would think it would be left to either deny the variance, and we're going to need a motion here, approve the variance with conditions, or approve the variance.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we deny variance. I believe it says 2301. Am I correct on that? I deny the application of the variance 2301 that was dated 6/1/2023.
A second.
Thank you, Ed. Any discussion before we take the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd just make the comment that I'm not opposed to approving a variance. However, the variance that was presented to us, I can't approve, I can't support. I would like to have seen what the compliance sign would look like. And also, I see what your request is, and I know it's smaller than what you typically would like, but perhaps a couple of options there that the board might have been willing to offer a variance. I can't speak for the whole board, but I would have liked to have seen a couple of different scenarios.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I agree
Jan?
with that, Robert. I would like to have seen, a sign maybe not quite as large, without the hot stuff. You started, Bill, with pictures of other Five Below stores in other shopping centers, and I took note of those. And I think what we're trying to do is just keep the aesthetic look and the future aesthetic looks of what would come into the marketplace. And I understand how important signage is, but I don't think you're going to be at a hardship because we have so few stores here in the Outer Banks. You are going to get customers. So what we're trying to do is just preserve a look which will actually bring you customers, because we aren't going to, I don't want to use the word cheapen the look, but basically that's what we're striving not to do. We certainly would like a few more trees in that parking lot, but but that's what we're trying to do here. So I agree with Robert about if there were other options, we might have been able to help you out.
Well, and I would add on to what Janice said. We have a lot of information here, but yet the only thing that was being asked of us tonight was the variance for the wall sign. There's a lot of other stuff in here that does not comply, that if they were to come back to us again for another variance that was more reasonable, I think we would certainly be willing to help out. But tonight, I think what we've got before us, we're in agreement that the variance should be denied. Any other discussion? We got a motion and a vote. All in favor of denying the variance, raise your hand. Aye. None opposed, so variance is denied by 5-0 by Board of Adjustments. And I think that concludes our duty as the Board of Adjustment. Wes, do you have anything that we need to do before we shut the meeting down?
No, sir. So the next step will be that staff will prepare order, which is it'll be the written decision of what happened tonight, and the board will have to approve it, and then we will send it to you. And I'll probably send it to you before I take it to the board to let you review it and see if you have any comments or suggestions or anything like that.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Here,
When you said board, you said you would present it to the board, to Andy to sign, or to the Board of Commissioners?
The board, y'all have to approve it.
We have.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, if that's okay with
The
everybody.
commissioners won't see it at all.
Okay with you?
Just like an appeal, y'all, the board, I think it's Board of Adjustment, y'all are the decision makers. So if they wanted to appeal it,
Okay, everybody ready to get back to it?
Yep.
Back in session. Thank you. All right. Now, still under new business, item B, TCA 23-02, a town code amendment submitted by the town of Southern Shores to amend the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the town of Southern Shores to delete certain areas, track number 1, Martins Point Commercial, by amending and restating ordinance number 79-0006 as amended by ordinance May 4th, 1993, September 22nd, 1999, and August 29th, 2000. Wes, you want to give us a brief timeline and description of what this ordinance is all about while we're doing it?
Yes, sir. On August 1st, 2022, ETJ Representative, Mr. John Finelli, asked the town to relinquish its ETJ over ETJ track number 1, Martins Point Commercial. After that, on December 19th, at your December 19th planning board meeting, you all, the board, unanimously recommended relinquishment of ETJ track number 1 to the town council. And on February 7th, the town council directed staff to prepare an ordinance to relinquish ETJ over that area, being the Martins Point Commercial Properties ETJ track 1. So in your package, you have a copy of the ordinance that accomplishes this. It has been reviewed and approved by the town attorney. They feel comfortable with what's in here, and they think that this will accomplish what needs to be accomplished. It's fairly straightforward. In part 1, this is where it states the track to be relinquished, and that is, of course, track number 1, Martins Point Commercial. And I'll point out that if you were to read this description and follow it closely, and then you compared it to the part further down under part 2 that struck out to be deleted, you'll notice that there are some minor differences. And we had to engage a surveyor to assist us with correcting the description for track 1, and that's what's being used in the area to be relinquished. And the surveyor told us that basically, since that description was put in the code, the right-of-way, there was some sort of adjustment made to the right-of-way off of 158. Because what we did was, what the attorney did was, they took the description and their real estate, someone with a real estate attorney with the firm, they took that description and basically drew something like this. But there was a segment missing on Jingite Creek. So we had to engage a surveyor, and they produced this document. This says preliminary, but I received a hard copy today of the final one. So I do want to point that out, that's why there's a difference in the description for what's to be relinquished, and then why it's different from what is to be struck out or stricken out. The other thing I wanted to point out was, if you look at what the surveyor put together for us for what is being relinquished, this parcel here on Currituck Sound to the state of North Carolina, that piece is currently not in the town of Southern Shores jurisdiction. Mr. Finelli may be able to expand on this, but it's owned by NCDOT, and at some point it was annexed by the town of Kitty Hawk. The reason why it's still in here, the reason we're still asking to relinquish it, is because it's still in the ordinance. Therefore, we still have to say that we still don't want it. So the attorney looked into that as well. And that's pretty much all we're asking for at this point. The other sections, the town code amendment parts, are just removing references to the extraterritorial jurisdiction area over Martins Point. Changes a few of the statute references, strikes out track number 1, strikes out Currituck Sound Waters ETJ track 2 and makes that 1. It makes the Atlantic Ocean ETJ track 2, track number 3, track number 2. And then 3479, again, removing references and changing the citations. And again, in your packet, you all, yeah, this was the final version of that, that image, the map that the surveyor put together, but he wasn't able to give us a good image of it and a good resolution. That was the best he could give us, and I received a hard copy today. And then on the zoning map, just to clarify, ETJ Track 1 is down here over by Martin's Point. ETJ Track 2, which is Jean Guy Creek and Currituck Sound Waters, is here. That ETJ Track 2 will become 1. ETJ Track 3, Atlantic Ocean Waters, will become ETJ Track 2. And that won't take long as well. Our GIS consultant is currently working on updating our zoning map as we speak. So if y'all have any questions, I can try to answer them for you. This will require a public hearing held by the town council. We will have to send notice of the hearing to all of the property owners that own property in the Martins Point commercial area. We have to send that at least 30 days prior to the hearing. That means that the hearing is going to be held at the September regular council meeting, which I believe is September 5th, first Tuesday. But tonight, you all, as you do with like text amendments or special use permits, you all are making a recommendation to council as to relinquish or not relinquish, or ask for more information. However, you all are an advisory board at this point.
Wes, I just have one question. On this map, the one you showed, and you said the property all the way to the left. The one all the way to the left that you said was different.
Yes.
Is there a business on that?
No, it's an NCDOT site where they keep materials and
Staging area.
fill and
Just staging
dirt
area.
and things like that. John he may be able to give you more information about it, but
Yeah, at one time, DOT turned that property over to the same state group that runs Festival Park.
Right.
And the town of Kitty Hawk was interested in developing it as a park and also as a focal point for water taxi service to Manio. So that's why the town took it over. And anyways, they decided against that, and then DOT ended up getting the property back.
Okay.
So again, it's pretty much used for staging area and bridge work.
Do you feel that the county will take that over? Just like they're taking, once this is gone through and we relinquish our duty to ETJ, would the county ever do anything with that property? I mean, as far as what they, the say-so that the county will have over.
The county won't have any say-so over the DOT property.
Right, none at all.
No, that's the town of Kitty Hawk.
Yeah. It's just what you were saying, Wes, is that it had to be included in.
because it's still in the code, we still have it in
Right.
there. We still have to reference it with the new description, but we also have to still reference the old and strike it with the strikeout on it.
Every once in a while, you do hear about the possibility of a taxi service, from Manio to that. I don't think that is
Nah.
gone dead. I have a question too, and that is, with the development of the Saga property that's there, and again, looking down the road as far as getting in there and getting out of there, if they had to put a access road, to get in, how would that be handled?
Well, the Saga property is separated by Jin Bank Creek from this property.
Right, they would have to build a bridge to
Well-
get them over that, and see how that would get involved, obviously.
No, there's no way they could do that.
Well, John, have you got any concerns, since you are the ETJ rep and have a little bit to do with the Dare County Planning Board? I mean, what, you have any insights of anything that doesn't look up to snuff? for you going forward?
No, I had a chance to look over the ordinance. I think it's well crafted. It does what it's supposed to do. Been in touch with Noah Gillum, who's the planning director for Dare County. And once the transfer takes place, we'll be ready at the first time to go ahead and establish zoning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in contact, not recently, but going back to last December, I was in contact with all the property owners. And be very few changes to the zoning. I told them that nothing's going to be down zoned.
Yeah.
Um,
So they're all in agreement.
Well, I surveyed everybody. I got 60% of them said they were in favor. Nobody said they were against it. Some people just don't want to be bothered to, read
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But the only changes there'll be a little bit of tweaking on, say, the buffer requirements between commercial and residential.
Mhm.
For instance, some of these commercial properties back up to the Martins Point dumpster area.
Right.
Well, even though that's zoned residential, the onus for a buffer really should be on the Martins Point residential area. We shouldn't be requiring people in the commercial area to put up a fence to shield our dumpsters.
Right.
So just little tweaks like that, but it'd be very, very little changes, and
And it looked,
there you go.
pretty thorough to me. Anybody else have any concerns about letting go?
I'll point out also, y'all have discussed too, the legislature, there is a bill that's been proposed to take away municipalities' authority to have ETJ for sizes, certain cities of certain sizes. I haven't seen any movement with the bill lately, but at some point, we may not have been able to do it anyway, so
Mhm.
we'll see.
Well, the wheels are turning and it looks, like it's well-crafted and covers the bases. And certainly John would let us know if it didn't. Wes, can you pull up the final zoning map? What date was that? Couldn't see it on mine.
2015, I believe
Okay.
it's January 2015, yeah, January 6th.
So am I seeing, can you go over to where the Saga property is? Am I seeing that right? RS 10 up in there?
As I was saying earlier, we're in the process of having the map corrected and updated. And at the same, while we're adjusting that area, we're going to change, assuming this gets approved, to change ETJ tracks 2 and 3 to 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussions for Wes or John, for that matter? Anybody? John, you got anything further you want to? Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion to recommend this town code amendment to town council and approval to recommend to town council at their next meeting in August. Get a motion? Anybody?
I'll make the motion.
John?
Yeah, make a motion that we forward the draft ordinance on to town council with a recommendation for approval at their September 5 meeting.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Tony, second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of John's motion, Tony's second, please raise your hand. None opposed? What's next for us? What do I need to say anything afterwards as far as what that motion and second was?
No, sir, I don't think so.
We're official then.
It's
We
official.
have recommended approval of this TCA.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, it gets us one step closer to getting Getting out of here. Public comment. Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Oh, you got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Name and where you live.
Hi, I'm Michelle Youngstone, and we just moved to Southern Shores in July of last year, and I just want to try to get involved with what's going on in the community because we really love it here. And we came from Collington Harbor, and so just a breath of fresh air. And so I'm just curious about, like, for this extraterritorial jurisdiction thing, is basically, it all sounds like so coded. I was just wondering, like, what you guys are just going to recommend to the town council. Is that plot of land that belongs to Kitty Hawk that no one realized couldn't be sold? Or I just didn't really follow what was being recommended.
Well, we're going to kind of break from tradition and say that we're only going to let you comment, but I would ask the board to allow this. So, I mean, usually we don't do back and forth. You just.
Oh,
make a
I'm
comment.
sorry.
But no, I mean,
That's good.
you're new to the area, and we like having participation. So,
Yeah.
Wes, could you possibly answer her question?
Yes, sir. Let me pull this back up.
Have you looked through the ordinance?
Yes, yes. It just doesn't, I just don't really understand it.
So these are the lots in the commercial area. This is the Currituck Sound right over here. And there's this piece of property right here. This lot is actually, it's under Kitty Hawk's jurisdiction because it was annexed by the town of Kitty Hawk.
Gotcha. And I heard that part, yeah.
Yeah, so we are still including this because it's still in the code, even though Kitty Hawk has jurisdiction over it. We're still including it in the ordinance to relinquish it because according to our ordinance, it's still under our jurisdiction, but everyone knows it's not right. But that's why that's still in there.
Okay, that answers my question.
And John Finelli here has been a tireless member of this board. He lives in Martins Point. He's the county zoning chairman for Dare County, and he's been sitting up here a long time. And he kind of got the ball rolling to relinquish our duty to Martins Point. And this is the fruition of his efforts, and he could explain why he wants to do this. Put you on the spot, John.
What it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The town of Southern Shores incorporated in 1979. And at that time, Martins Point, which is not part of Southern Shores, was just vacant, basically vacant land in unincorporated Dare County. And it did not have any zoning standards. So in that case, Southern Shores exercised extraterritorial jurisdiction as a way to protect themselves. And so they established the zoning. But over time, as Martins Point has developed and Dare County has gotten their zoning ordinances in order, Southern Shores has decided to relinquish that and send it back to the county. Because these lots that we're talking about tonight are actually part of Dare County. So that's how we got here.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Oh, and I just, as a comment, I just wanted to say that I'm glad that aesthetically we're keeping with the small signage in Southern Shores. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and don't be a stranger here.
No, I
Wait.
thought this is my first
Wait.
week. I was like, because I drove by some big Saka sign and I'm like, what are they doing?
Well, yeah,
I'm really late.
there'll be a few of those meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks a lot for your comment. Okay, moving on. We're planning board comments. Anybody? John?
No comments.
Jan? Tony? Wes, announcements?
Yes, sir. I would like to poll you all. So the land use plan consultant is almost pretty much finished with the draft land use plan update, the entire document. And they would like to have you all schedule a meeting to review it and hopefully be in a position to provide a recommendation to council. So I was wondering if you all would be available to attend a special meeting next week, August 21st at 5 o'clock.
August or July?
I'm sorry, July, excuse me. July 20, excuse me, hang on, July 26th, excuse me.
Yeah.
July 26th,
What time?
Wednesday, that would be 5 o'clock. If it works for most, if not all of you.
I can't make it.
I won't be in the state at all.
You won't be either?
No, I won't be here.
Okay, all right, that answers that. Would y'all be available the week of the 1st? On the 2nd?
What day of the week is that?
The 2nd
It's
is
a
a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yep, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think I can make it.
August 2nd. 5 o'clock for a special meeting. You will be out of town? All right. I'll get back with them and reach out to y'all again.
How many do we need for this meeting, Wes?
I mean, technically, you only need 3, but I
Three.
think it would be best to have
Yeah.
as many as we can get to
Certainly, yeah.
review, to make sure that everybody has an
Yeah.
opportunity to review and provide more input and feedback on this document. So I'd rather have more than 3.
Yeah, so would
Are they
I.
ready to send it to us?
Just about, yes, sir.
Will they send it ahead of time?
Yes.
Whenever this meeting? Okay.
Yes, I would like to get it to you all at least a week ahead of time. And we would post it on the website as well for the public to review and comment on it as well. And if or whenever you all do make a recommendation on the document, I'm not saying it has to be whenever y'all do here at the first time. But after that, we're going to, the consultant is going to pass it over to Division of Coastal Management for them to do their required review, which could take up to at least 75 days. And it could go way beyond that.
Does the consultant, are we zooming with him?
They will be here in person.
Oh, they'll be here in person.
They plan to come in person for this meeting, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to them and see if we can nail down another date.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is that the regular meeting, your regular August meeting will be August 21st. May have special use permit 2301 from Gene Guide LLC for the mixed use group development. Should have lot width ZTA, and may have commercial design standards ZTA.
I will not be here. I will be out of the country.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
So possible site plan review and lot width.
Special use permit from Gene Guide LLC, the one next to Southern Shores Landing. The lot width ZTA, and possibly commercial design standards. It's ambitious, but
Are you serving dinner with that?
I think if we get a site plan review, we
Keep it
probably
to-
need to
just keep it at that.
keep it at that. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
my suggestion. Okay, anybody else have anything? Right. I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
I think I'll second that.
Second? They both did tie. We'll give it to Ed.
Good.
Motion and a vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
None.
Yeah. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.